Hi there, Bill Wayno here, and this is part one of the three-part series of our Keystone Company tour. The 22 MLS Club was invited out to see how they were built in 2021. And if you looked at my review 1.0, I mentioned that the Keystone Cougar was built like a battle tank from my previous research. Well, when I went on this factory tour, it not only confirmed, but it exceeded my expectations as far as the build. And I wanted to convey that to you along with how awesome that the Keystone Company runs and how they take care of their dealers and their customers, because I think that's very important. So let's just get right into the Keystone Cougar 22 MLS build. The production manager took me on a factory tour, and you can see that in part 2, and also the question and answers is part 3. But he explained to me how they built our Keystone Cougars from the ground up. And it is blow your mind staggering what the difference is. And it's a huge difference. So let's start at the frame. He told me that the frame is, well, it's overbuilt, obviously, because on my previous camper, I had a frame where I built a flag mount out of steel, and it had a U-bracket that slipped over the frame, and then you took a bolt and you bolted under the frame and clamped the U-bracket together. Well, when I bought the 22 MLS, I took my flag mount off, I put it on the frame of the Keystone Cougar, and I went to put the bolt through, and the bolt hole hit the frame. What does that tell you? That tells you that the frame is built thicker and bigger. And then he went on to tell me a lot more differences, like the solid steel I-beam frame structure, the cross I-beams that go across the frame, they're solid stamped steel, and the holes that are inside the trusses are rolled a little bit, so when you put the wires through, it doesn't fray the wires eventually. That's another Keystone innovation. So also I noticed those cross beams, there were 6 of them. Now there were 6 of them, and we were looking at a 29-foot or 30-foot travel trailer. But here's the thing I noticed. So when we went in and looked at the 22 MLS frame, there were 6 cross I-beams. It's the same design, confirming the fact that when they build a huge trailer, they use the same quality and just compact it into a smaller footprint. But what's more important about that? Well, the cross beams, if there's the same amount on a shorter trailer, what's that going to do? That per square inch, that's a stronger frame, right? So on this frame, you could haul the Empire State Building on this frame, in my opinion. It is just overbuilt superstructure, solid. Also, unlike the competitors, the entire structure above it is sitting on a support of that frame. It doesn't go over any without touching a outrigger. So these are solid pieces of steel that reach out from the frame so that the walls that sit on that frame are supported by steel. And that is unlike a lot of our competitors. If you look under there, the walls will actually go over the frame. So is it going to last? Sure. But it's not the best, and it's not as sturdy of a structure. So that's just one innovation that Keystone did just because they could and because it's better. So your walls are sitting on those frames right there. It is solid. Okay, after they've built the superstructure frame this whole thing sits on, they put the flooring system. Now this floor is unlike any other floor in the industry, and I just can't stress that enough. It's called HyperDeck. And what that is that's an aluminum frame, wood cord, and it is, and I got my notes here, so I'm going to show it to you. They even gave me a piece that I get to experiment with myself. But on the top is fiberglass reinforced polypropylene. Then you have the high density foam core. Then you have a fiberglass reinforced thermoplastic base layer. I hope I have the picture up here. And then the protective film on the bottom, which I don't know why, because on the bottom of your frame, you have the hard plastic protective shell underneath, the very underneath of the frame. And then you've got astrofoil, which they gave me a piece of that. And this insulates, not only insulates, but protects and gives it just another barrier of insulation, which really isn't a big issue because they've also given you heater pads on the bottoms of your holding tanks. So, I mean, it's just everything I say about Keystone, just mentally put overbuilt in front of that, and you're going to get an idea of what I saw. But they put Hypertech, it's one piece. They put it on the frame, and then everything's bolted onto that aluminum frame system from the ground up. That's the flooring system. So you no longer have creaks. It's super insulated. You don't have the screws popping up through your vinyl. It is patented by them. The shells over the insulation. They've got more patents than probably any other RV out there on the market because they are constantly improving their products and they just want to protect them. So they have patents on them. The walls I'm going to take a little more time on because this is very important to understand. Keystone has given a lot of thought and spent a lot of money in giving us the best walls on the market. And here's why. There's been a lot of discussion on Luan versus Azdel. And so I did my own research outside of the Keystone company on what's better. And the only thing, you got Azdel companies that say that's better. You got Luan companies that say that's better. But I found a company that I researched that uses both. That's the way I did my research. Now, here's what I found out. Azdel is better in the sense that it is more water resistant. It's got a composite on both sides and it's less susceptible to water damage. But what this company, and you could probably find it online, what they said was they use Azdel on their smaller campers. However, they use the Luan on their longer and larger travel trailers, and the reason is it's stronger. So what does Keystone do? Keystone puts their Luan-sided walls on their smaller trailers. What does that do? That gives you a stronger structure. So again, they feel that it's stronger, and they even want to put that on our smaller campers. Now, there is an issue with it is susceptible to water, but Keystone has eliminated that. And we're going to go through that a little bit later. But let's just go back to the Luan. Now, Luan is cured. And some companies leave the Luan outside till they need it. And then they bring it in and build their walls. Well, Keystone, and I'm going to cut to a few pictures here. When I took the tour, to make it right, they built an entire structure. I mean, they spent lots of money on this. And what they do is they bring all their Luan inside to cure, and it's temperature and humidity controlled to give it a perfect curing process. And then they bring that Luan in and they put it on their wall structure, which is a aluminum superstructure. The welds on the wall are the same as the floor, where a lot of the companies will do they'll stack up their frames and then they'll just put one weld down the seam, but that's not the way Keystone does it. They lay their aluminum frame out, and on anything that crosses, they put welds on both sides one at a time to make sure it is just perfect. Then they put the high density foam in there, and then the Luan coating after it has been properly cured, and they run it through a machine that puts down 100% glue coverage, that this glue has been tested. It's the right temperature, the right strength, and they test, and they test, and they test. But if the machine, if something misses, the glue misses, stops, and they fix the problem. They make sure 100% coverage of glue. I can't stress that enough, and that's why I took so much time on that. Then it goes through a roller that puts it at 60 pounds per square inch to make sure those walls are perfect. And it's just amazing the painstaking details they go through to give us the perfect product. And then if that's not enough, each batch, they take a sample and they take it to the lab. And I'm going to show you this. I got a tour of the lab, and they take a piece and they do a pull test to make sure that the glue is exactly perfect. The strength is perfect. It won't give. Then they put it through the roll test. I don't know why. It's just another form of abuse that they put it through to make sure it's awesome. But they roll the wall to see when the Luan pops off of the styrofoam. And if it doesn't pass that, back to the drawing board. They start the batch over again. So really, the walls are overbuilt, especially for the 22 MLS. I mean, the structure is mammoth. And, it just gives you that peace of mind that they have really went 120% on building these walls. That's what goes on the 22 MLS. It also goes on the larger travel trailers. Again, Keystone, if it's good enough for our big ones, let's make the footprint a little smaller and put it on the smaller ones. So thank you, Keystone, for that. Okay, the front cap is a fiberglass structure, and it comes in two models. It has a windshield and it has one without the windshield. Now, the reason why I say windshield is, here's another thing that sets Keystone apart from a lot of their competitors, is the glass in front of the Keystone Cougar is a windshield. They didn't put a window in it like some competitors. What they did was, is it the best? No, let's give it the best. So they had Guardian design a automotive windshield, and this windshield is placed inside the front cap of the Keystone Cougar. So it's the same thing. If a rock hit it and put a little spider crack on it, you could call a windshield company. They'd come out and fill it, and it would be, guaranteed by the windshield repair company. It's the same thing. It is a automotive windshield, which just shatterproof. I mean, it's just the best, and that's what they do at Keystone Cougar. The rear wall, again, blow your mind. Rear wall. I know it. Why is the rear wall going to blow my mind? Well, let me tell you, because it is. What does Keystone Cougar do? I mean, I just can't. I know that I look excited because this is what we've invested a lot of money in. And as it turns out, we've invested our money in a company that loves their customers and wants to give them the best product in the world. Here, let's just get to it. So in the factory tour, he was very proud of the build, obviously, that they've designed for us, the consumer. One of the many things is the rear wall. So what do they do that the competitors don't? So they put the wall on the rear of the camper. It is a residential solid wood structure, kind of like a house. And it's 2 inches thick, and they fill it with residential insulation. That's not it. After that, that those sidewalls, those superstructure, Luan built sidewalls, they put that on the back as well. So now you have two rear walls on the back, and that's why it's 3 inches thick, and the ladder that attaches to it. And I'm just going to tell you right now that, yeah, they may say 300-pound max, 350-pound max, but I was in the innovations lab that he took me in, and they they really destroy, they really abuse their products to see how well they've built their products. Well, I saw a pull test on the ladder that was attached to the back wall. And I don't even know if I should say this or not, but I got to tell you, 300 pounds, 350 pounds? No, no. It was, I saw kind of double the strength, but I'm not going to say get a 700-pound guy up there on that ladder. By no means. I'm saying stay with the factory recommendation. But it's just a testament to, they say something, but in their minds and in their design, they have overbuilt it. Even though they don't tell you, I'm telling you that I witnessed the overbuild of this Keystone Cougar 22 MLS. Also in that, so the back wall, you have two back walls. And I just can't go on enough about it. The insulation value of that back wall, and it's just crazy. Let me just say something about the innovations lab that they have. That's where they come up with Keystone's mentality is they've built more than 1 million trailers. And their mentality is each one of those trailers we are going to learn from to improve from. So that's why they're constantly doing things. They're color coding their wiring system. The air conditioner system. I can't even talk enough about that because that's one of those things that, we all struggle with in 10 degree weather, and it's not an issue with the Keystone Cougar. Why? Because they put an overbuilt air conditioner in the smaller travel trailers. They patent the airflow, so it's non-restricted airflow. They have special patented pieces that keep the ductwork from compressing, restricting the airflow. Was that enough? No. They figured, hey, we've got this non-restricted airflow. We've got these older, outdated vents up there. Why don't we design and patent a brand new vent system? So they patented the blade system there at Keystone. What the blade system is, and I'll put that up here too, but it is a vent that circulates 360 degrees. It allows you to control the flow of the air, and it is total coverage. It gives you 20% more airflow. This is Keystone. This is what they do. They see something working, but they're constantly saying, okay, how can we learn from this fully functioning, working, and making it better? And that's what they do. And that's why when I was in the boardroom having lunch with all the managers, and this is the way Keystone is, just a brief saying on that. I know I get off subject, but it's so important. I have so much stuff to tell you that Keystone, I don't own an RV company. I don't own, I'm not a big superstar. I'm a one little guy that owns one little trailer, and I belong to a club, and they invite me out, and they give, I wouldn't have known by the way I was treated that I wasn't the owner of one of their largest RV dealerships, or I wasn't a movie star or something like that, because that's the way they treated me. When you join the Keystone family, it's very important for you to understand that Keystone sees you as family. And do you want to give your brother or your dad or your mom a product that is not the very best you can do? So they are constantly trying to do that. They constantly treat each individual like you are the president of our company, and we want to give you the red carpet treatment. And that's just the way it is. The roof. How does the roof compare to the competitors? Well, let me tell you, they use the only way I could describe it is a residential style roof. They have the arched trussing, solid wood structure, and they design it in a way that gives the air conditioner less restrictive flow, if not zero restrictive flow, into your travel trailer. And then it's covered by a really thick piece of roofing material. Now, here is where and I'm going to show that to you, but here is where this plays in a part. Yes, you can walk on it, but in my opinion, I could have a dance party on it. That's how well it is constructed. I'm not going to, but I'm telling you, it is a solid structure. Now, back to the Luan walls, which is the only enemy of water is the only enemy of Luan walls, and it takes a long time. But if there's a drip or a leak, and the water gets in between the Luan and the high density foam boarding, it can loosen up that glue. So what do? They use Luan because it's stronger, and they even, like I said, they do it on their smaller campers, which I appreciate. But they also protect this Luan with the best. So they use an alpha roofing system that has a lifetime warranty. Now, people don't put lifetime on it unless it's a good product, right? So it's a membrane that goes over the entire roof to protect those walls from getting any moisture in there at all. And that's just sets Keystone apart from a lot of the competitors. So they're going to use the best product. However, they don't want it to get wet during the lifetime of that camper. So what do? They put the best roof membrane over the top, which is lifetime warranty. They're limited lifetime warranty. I guess that means you can't take a knife up there and start scoring it and saying, "Whoa, this leaks." But you know what I'm saying. You don't put a lifetime warranty on something unless you truly believe in it. So this covers the walls protects the walls from getting any type of moisture in there. There are several places where eventually, if you don't do your maintenance, it can get a little leak. But in my opinion, that's at the front where the roof meets the cap, or maybe a hole was drilled in the fiberglass, or maybe the windshield. But if that leak happens, it goes past the fiberglass down to your waterproof floor. They thought of all this, and that just sets them apart. Is it a submarine? Probably not. Although it's overbuilt, it's super strong. And could you submerge the whole thing in water? Probably not, because you have to put things together with sealant. So that could probably leak a little bit. But anyway, so the roof is just overbuilt again, and I use that term a lot because that's what you're getting when you're getting a Cougar 22 MLS. It's a compact battle tank structure that's built just like their larger campers. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about the Keystone, other parts of the Keystone company that just sets them apart from the rest. Number one is the Innovations Lab and the Research Lab. They go so far as to make what they call Key TV. And one of the takes that I got from Scott when he was talking about the Key TV is, and I own my own audio visual company, is the long runs of the coax cable. Now, the longer you run a coax cable, the signal does degrade. Is it acceptable? Yes, there's an acceptable margin of degradation that happens in a coax cable. However, they didn't want that. So they designed an entire system around reducing the length of that coax cable to give us a better product. So they designed Key TV, and he showed me that in their research lab, a before and after design, reducing the run of those cables and reducing the complication of the hookup. So it's just crazy. Also, he showed me where that hyperdeck was just abused from water to make sure it was the best product that they can put out. he showed me innovations like the ladder and the air conditioner system the airflow system that they designed. This is all in there. They constantly try to learn and improve to give us a superior product. That's the innovations lab. Now the parts department. The parts department was supposed to be a 30-minute walkthrough. It ended up being an hour. And the man in charge of the parts and service department was so proud of their parts and service department that I've got to mention that. I went into this huge facility where they keep all the parts that they think they might need, because there are thousands and thousands of parts. And the service part of it is they answer their dealer calls at a 90% rate by a human being in less than 20 seconds. That is the service that Keystone gives our dealers. The parts, they didn't think it was big enough. This is mammoth. So what he lobbied for was to get Keystone to spring for a larger warehouse. So they built on even more warehouse. They added over $1 million worth of parts that they thought might be helpful to us, the consumers, to get through the dealers. And it just goes on and on. Every aspect of Keystone is built with the thought of how are we going to service our customers better? How can we make this a seamless, better experience? And I'm going to tell you something that I don't even know if I should tell you, but other companies that I will not name saw how awesome their parts and service department is, and they have hired Keystone to take care of manage their parts and service department. That's how awesome it is. When you have a parts and service department where your competitor is looking at you going, there's just no way we can beat this. Is there any way we can tag on to you a little bit? I mean, come on. This is Keystone. But you know, if they say for some reason I shouldn't say that, then I'll pull this out of this video. But I'm just proud of that. I'm so proud that Keystone is such a great company that even the competitors acknowledge it and just want to tag on to their innovations and their great service and parts management system. Also, their parts, when a dealer calls, that not only is it instantaneously, 100% of the time you can get a human being. The reason why I say that is if it's 90% of the time you're calling and you get a human being in less than 20 minutes, if you don't, hang up, call back. You've got a 90% chance of getting a human being in less than 20 seconds. So there's absolutely no reason that a dealer can't call in and get a hold of Keystone. Now, their parts, they have 80% of their warranty is approved instantaneously. Now, the parts go straight from the shelf to the shipping area and out the door. What I'm trying to convey here is we're all human, and there are parts delays because there is a part shortage. Some of the parts that Keystone relies on aren't Keystone products. They're Dometic products, or they're Norcold products, or they're products from third-party products. So since there are part shortages, there is a lot of delays out there, and it's not necessarily Keystone's problem. It is Keystone's problem, but it's not necessarily Keystone's fault. So they're parts that they try to keep all these parts on hand so they can get them straight to us, are ordered by human beings. If you have a delay, sometimes it's not Keystone. Sometimes the dealer, they get busy. Sometimes they forget, or they delay the call to Keystone. Does it happen? Probably, but maybe I'm not going to blame the dealer by no means, but they get busy, and the delay may not be Keystone. Maybe it's the dealer, is what I'm saying. Or sometimes the delay is Keystone because there is a real part shortage out there. There's a material shortage out there. But the point I'm trying to get across is Keystone builds, their support staff is over the top as far as parts and service. And that is the Keystone Cougar company. That's the Keystone company, period. The 22 MLS I'm going to talk about briefly here. And I'm going to show you this. They built an entire facility just to showcase, studio just to showcase their travel trailers, to be able to photograph it here. It was an amazing experience. But the Keystone Cougar 22 MLS, the floor plan is amazing. The structure is amazing. There are floor plans out there in other campers, but you're not going to get a truly better structure in that type of a floor plan than the Keystone Cougar. However, just like 1.0 review, I told you as soon as the word gets out that it's going to be hard to find because everybody's going to want one. Well, that came to fruition, which means dealers are clamoring to get 700 of these 22 MLSs. What I'm saying is, go out, look at the 22 MLS, and order it now. Even if you're wanting it, even if you're not ready to buy 6 months from now, because I got to tell you, that could be what you wait to get this thing. It's like a Rolex watch or a flawless diamond. You just got to wait to get that type of a product in. And so that's what you're getting. I can't stress it enough. When I was on my tour, I told Scott, I said, you know, what we'd like our own factory, 22 MLS factory. And he chuckled because they make 10,000 a year of these travel trailers and fifth wheels, and they have so many other models, and I get it. So what the goal is to for us consumers to buy 10,000 22 MLSs a year. That way they have to build a factory just for the 22 MLS. That is how awesome this is. So go out, check it out, and you're going to love it. But that's 1.0. And take a look at 2 and 3 part in my series of the factory tour and the question and answers. And sure love everybody out there. And I truly enjoyed making this video and showing you how it was constructed, just giving you the inside look. So we'll talk to y'all later, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.